All right, guys, so Moments Extreme came out on Friday. I went ahead and I completed them already. I did it on my Twitch stream. I live streamed the whole thing, so twitch.tv/Cougs46 in case you guys aren't following me over there. Link is in the description. Feel free to drop by anytime. I'm usually playing MLB The Show on there. But anyway, they came out and I completed them, and I wanted to kind of give you guys some tips on each individual moment, as well as give you some kind of overall tips on everything, because there are certain strategies you can use to complete some of these moments. They are going to be kind of tough in certain ones, but at the end of the day, if you build your team adequately and you kind of understand what you need to do going into it and stuff like that, you'll be able to get it done. I truly think that people can get this done no matter what team you have. You might need to get some better players before you jump into it, but at the end of the day, I do think if you're a decently skilled player and you kind of have some good assets to use for each moment, you can probably get this done. It took me about 5 hours, but once again, I was streaming, I was talking to my chat, I was trying to talk to like 400 to 500 people for most of the time, so if I was kind of locked in and focused on nothing but that, I probably could have got it done in 4. But I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my tips and the strategies that I use to complete these moments. And before I go into each individual one, I want to give you guys kind of 3 overall tips just to begin with. I'm going to call these the 3 P's of Moments Extreme. The first P is going to be players. You're going to need to get some good players, man. I don't care if it's through the XP reward path. I don't care if it's through the market, through packs, through the programs, whatever it is, you're going to need to have some goons on your team to complete some of these moments. They're going to be kind of tough, and there's going to be some moments where you're going to have to use your own Diamond Dynasty team to actually complete the moments. So if you're going into this with low overall players, or if you're going into this with, live series Joey Gallo, a lot of these moments are going to be like on Hall of Fame. And Joey Gallo is a fun card to use, and he can do something here and there, but, when you get to Hall of Fame and you have that low vision, it's probably going to be kind of tough when your PCI is the size of an M&M. So you definitely want to get some good players, and one thing to keep in mind is some players that aren't necessarily that good online may actually be good in play versus CPU. Craig Kimbrell. Like, Duke Snider is amazing against the CPU. I think he's good online too, but I think he's way better against the CPU than he is an online play, at least in my experience. So just kind of remember you're playing against the CPU, so get players that actually play well in those situations. Second P is going to be patience. You need to have patience if you're going to complete these moments. These moments are designed to be challenging. They're designed to kind of test your skills in a tougher environment, when you're on these harder difficulties like Hall of Fame. So you have to be willing to take pitches. You have to be willing to get guys on via a walk here and there, assuming that it's not a mission where you can't walk people. You're just gonna have to be patient. There's gonna be some missions that are gonna be really hard. There's gonna be some where it seems like the odds are stacked against you. Like, I can think of 2 off the top of my head where you're going in down by like 5 runs or 10 runs or something like that. So you just have to have patience. You just have to go through each moment individually, give it your full attention, and don't rush through it, because if you rush through it, you're going to end up making more mistakes, you're going to get more frustrated, and then at the end of the day, it's just going to be worse for you. So have patience, wait for your pitch. Don't worry if the CPU doesn't swing and miss at every single 2-strike pitch that you throw, which is something that I struggled with. You just have to be patient, you have to let the game come to you, and you just have to work through it. And the third P is going to be perseverance. Once again, some of these moments, they're going to be stacked against you. Like, you're going into it expected to lose. It's kind of the point of these moments. They're supposed to be challenging. They're supposed to kind of test you. And, if you're getting really frustrated and, you're quitting out pretty easily or anything like that, it's just, you're not going to really have what it takes to complete these moments. They said that these moments aren't for everybody, but I do think that anybody can complete these moments with the right amount of perseverance. At sometimes you're just going to get lucky. You may not actually earn the result that you're getting, but maybe you get lucky and you're like, oh, I completed the moment, and now look at me. Now I have another stage towards done, Jim Edmonds or Andrew Miller, whatever it is. So just have perseverance, keep going. If the moments are getting frustrated, maybe take a break. You know, go do something else. Maybe go play the event. Go play another game if you want. Just have some patience. Don't worry about it. The moments aren't going anywhere. Just be ready to fail, okay? People are going to fail in these moments. A lot of people are struggling with certain ones and stuff like that. You just have to be ready to fail, and you have to be ready to accept that. Otherwise, you're probably not going to have a lot of success in these moments. So the first moment is going to be perfect finish. And basically, the goal of this moment is you have to save 3 games. You can't allow a base runner pretty much. I don't know if you can allow a base runner through an error. I don't know if that ends the game or not. But basically, you have to do it 3 straight times. You have to get 3 saves without allowing a base runner. So this is going to be on Hall of Fame, and you are going to face the same 3 batters every time. I believe it's Aaron Hicks, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton. The biggest thing you just want to do for this moment is you want to actually find the pitcher that you have the most success with. The guy that worked out best for me was Billy Wagner. I'm just really good at locating with this card. And once again, this is going to be on Hall of Fame, so you know you have to be ready for them to foul off a pitch here and there, maybe get some long at-bats, and you know, maybe they get a hit, maybe they get on base, but persevere. Restart the moment. It's okay. You're going to fail. But yeah, the biggest tip is just find the best pitcher that works for you. For me, it was Billy Wagner. Other people told me Trevor Hoffman worked for them. Gossage worked for them. For me, it was just Wagner. So find the best pitcher for you, the guy you can control the best, the guy who has a decent pitch selection so you're not throwing the same thing. Although I do find the fastball works really effectively against these 3 Yankees hitters. So find your pitcher. Let's see if I can just finish this right now. That's going to be 1. So basically, you got to do that 2 more times, and then you're done with that moment. Next up, we have Mr. October, and basically, you're going to be player locked as Reggie Jackson, and you have to get 9 hits and 5 extra base hits in 6 games. So this one was probably one of the more easy ones. There's really not too many tips I can give you for this one. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have a good amount of time to complete the moment. It's not going to be that hard. The biggest tip I could give you is I would power swing against right-handed pitchers, and I would use X to swing against lefties. I found that was the way I was getting the most success. Lefty-lefty is a little bit more difficult to hit. It's harder to track the ball. Doesn't mean that you can't do it, but for me, using X to swing against lefties and power swing against righties, when he does have more power anyway, there you go. There's an extra base hit. That was a power swing. This is only on All-Star, so it's really not that bad. So this one shouldn't give you that much trouble. Next up, we have one that gives people a lot of frustration, and that is going to be Diamondbacks to back-to-back. You have to tally 3 extra base hits in a row with the top of the D-backs lineup. So this one isn't as difficult as it looks. I'm not saying it's not hard. It can be tricky. It can be challenging. But it is going to be on veteran difficulty, and the pitcher is going to throw you some fastballs down the middle. So what I would do is I would always use square, no matter which of the 3 guys you're hitting with. Use square to hit, so you're power swinging, and then start your PCI a little bit lower and wait for the fastball down the middle. So I would start my PCI maybe like right here, fastball down the middle. I missed it that time, right? It wasn't even down the middle. It was more on the inside part of the plate. So now all I got to do is just restart. The nice thing about this is that you don't have to go to the menu to restart. You can just keep going until you get it. But once again, he's going to give you fastballs down the middle, and basically you just got to get 3 straight extra base hits, and it's going to be frustrating because I know for some people they were getting hit by the pitch in their 3rd at-bat. They couldn't get the extra base hit with Escobar or Peralta after they got 2. So, you know, just try your best. You know, start your PCI lower, wait for the fastball, and just power swing. That's what worked for me, and I got it done in like 6, 7 tries. It really wasn't all that difficult. And these cards are kind of juiced too, so remember that. Here we go, Albert Pujols. You have to tally 10 total bases in 1 game. So this one is gonna be a little bit tough because you are on a higher difficulty. You are on All-Star compared to the last one where you were on Veteran. But first thing, look at Pujols. His attributes are juiced. 115 power against both sides. He's gonna be a beast. So similar to the last one, I would start your PCI a little bit lower. I would definitely power swing, I think. I think power swing is the move. And, you know, you can hit a ball in the gap. Maybe it falls, maybe it doesn't, and it's going to get caught. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Now, the biggest tip I can give you guys for this one is if you don't hit a home run in your first at bat, I would restart, because you kind of need to get that momentum early. Yes, you can hit a double in your first at bat and then a home run in the next two. I find it just to be a little bit easier on both the mind and the actual game when you know you have a little bit of a head start. And then this is where it really hurts with Pujols. He has 0 speed. Look at him chug down the line. There's going to be times when you hit a double and you get thrown out just like that. That's why the home runs are so important, because if you're not hitting the ball over the fence, you're going to have to rely on Pujols laying out a double, and with 0 speed and how hard he hits the ball, you're going to get thrown out a couple times. So if you don't hit a home run in the first at-bat, quit out, because there's a big difference going into your second at-bat when you have 8 total bases versus 6 that you need to get. It's like when you make your bed first thing in the morning, you kind of feel accomplished. So now, you know, if you get it done early, or you get something done early, you kind of go into the next phase like, oh, you're a little bit more locked in, you can get it. So start your PCI low, hit a home run in your first at-bat, and then finish it off from there. All right, this one is going to be Stargell's Spectacular Series. You're going to be player locked as Willie Stargell. You're going to get 12 hits, 7 extra base hits, and 3 home runs in 7 games. This one, I'm not really going to show you any gameplay of it, because to me, this is pretty much exactly the same as the Reggie Jackson. It's just one more game. You have to get 12 hits, and you actually have to hit 3 home runs for 4 of the 7 extra base hits. So it's basically the same thing. It's going to be on All-Star, exactly the same as the Reggie Jackson one. So power swing against righties, use X against lefties, and, you know, you should be able to get it done. This is one of the easier ones along with Reggie Jackson. Okay, and the final mission, the one that gives you a home run derby choice pack, is going to be the greatest comeback of all time. Basically, you're going to go into this game down 12-2 in the top of the 6th, and you're going to have to come back. Okay, so a couple tips for this one. Number 1, just remember where you're actually starting. You're down by 10 runs, but it's not like you have to get all 10 runs in one inning. It's not like you're in the 9th. You're in the 6th. You're barely halfway through this game. So even if you don't get, you know, 7 or 8 runs in the first game or the first inning, if you get 2 or 3, and then the next inning you get 3 or 4, and you just kind of chip away, you can do it. So don't overwhelm yourself and think you need to get all 10 runs in one inning. The other tip I have for you, this is actually something my chat told me when I was streaming, stack your lineup with left-handed hitters. They are going to leave this Luis Perdomo guy in for a long time, and he is a righty, and he's really easy to hit. Look at his per nines, 35-47. He's a 63 overall. If you bring in a bunch of lefties with good numbers against righties, you are going to get the advantage in almost every single at-bat. And this is on All-Star. This is with Roberto Alomar, who's a switch hitter. Look how big his PCI is. And once again, you don't need to do every single you don't need to get every single run in one inning. You can kind of, you know, go through it. Maybe if you don't get a run in the first time, maybe you want to restart and, you know, get yourself some early runs so you don't have to worry about it later. But if you just stack your lineup with left-handed hitters and maybe put 4 righties on your bench and 1 lefty on your bench, then you can go ahead and, you know, kind of put yourself in a position to where you're always in the advantage at the plate. And once they go to a lefty, you can take the righties off your bench and put them in your lineup. So stack your lineup with lefties. You're going to face this Luis Perdomo guy, and he's going to be not very good in his hits and Ks department. So that's probably the best way to go about this. Here's Griffey. Let's see if Griffey can hit a bomb right now, because he's who he is with the PCI. And okay, he's not going to throw anything, but you get the idea. Use good lefties against a trash righty, and you should be okay. So once you complete all of those, you will unlock 98 overall Jim Edmonds, as well as 30,000 XP and 20,000 stubs. So that's a great set of rewards right there. So if you're happy with that, cool. But there are also more moments. There's a second set called the Warning Set. If you complete these ones, you get 45,000 XP, 30,000 subs, and 98 overall Andrew Miller. So let's go ahead and get into these ones, because these ones are fun. So the first one is going to be no singles, and basically you're going to be player locked as Joey Gallo, and you have to hit 7 home runs in 10 games. Now, probably my 2 biggest tips for you on this one is be patient again. They are going to throw you a lot of balls, and they're going to throw you a lot of stuff on the corners. This one is going to be annoying because once you actually get the pitch to hit, you have to make sure you're not too early on it, or else you're going to pull it off and then they're going to throw you a ton of balls. You're going to walk sometimes in this moment. It's going to be annoying, but once again, have patience, persevere through it. You will get an opportunity to hit 7 home runs, but just remember, they are going to throw you a lot of balls. The other tip I have is don't use power swing. Just use X. Joey Gallo, this is the all-star version of Joey Gallo, so he's got 120 and 124 power. You don't need to power swing with this card. If you make solid contact, the ball is going to travel with those power attributes. So use X. It keeps your PCI a little bit bigger for the feedback, and you have a better chance to hit the ball, and with his power, you have a better chance to hit the ball square. Like in that at-bat, I really didn't get anything to hit, but remember, you have 10 games to hit 7 home runs, and you just basically can't miss your opportunities like I did right there. So those are my tips for Joey Gallo. All right, this one, Staff's sheer dominance. You're going to have a rotation of 5 guys: Verlander, Gibson, Feller, Grove, and Ryan. You're going to be player locked as these pitchers, and basically you're going to have 5 games to strike out 35 batters without allowing 5 runs. This to me was the worst one because it's extremely tedious, and I hate player-locked pitching moments with a passion, and the strikeouts can get really annoying, and you know, if you find yourself in an opportunity where maybe they get 2 or 3 guys on base and then they hit a home run, that's 3 out of 5 runs that you have already allowed, so now you can only allow 2 for the rest of it. It can get kind of frustrating, but I do have a tip for you. So for me, when it comes to actually pitching, I find the best way to pitch to the CPU, especially on higher difficulties, is throw a lot of fastballs inside and then try to get them to swing on low and away breaking stuff. So here's a slider outside. He'll probably not swing at this. But, you know, sometimes I do, and I really like to pound him in with that high fastball. And, you know, sometimes you get a strikeout, sometimes you don't. But here's something I want to show you. This is more of an overall moments tip instead of just specific to this individual moment. Boom. Okay, so I just got Christian Yelich to strike out. So now you can see I need 34 strikeouts and 5 runs. Let's say I got 8 strikeouts here, right? And Verlander's in like the 7th inning. Let's say you're in the 7th inning, you have 8 strikeouts, and you start to get in a little bit of trouble, right? You have 2 or 3 guys on base. You have like less than 2 outs. So, you know, a sac fly gets a run in. Remember, you can only allow 5 through this entire mission. And, you know, you get in a little bit of trouble, you can actually just quit out of the moment and all your progress will stay. And I'm not talking about like going to the PlayStation home and dashboarding. I'm talking about simply quitting the moment, going back to the moment screen, and then you just enter the next game. So you can see now I have 4 games remaining, and I only have to strike out 34 batters now compared to 35 with 5 games remaining. So if I struck out 8 batters, then, you know, I would only need to strike out 27 going into the 4th game, and then you get to use a different pitcher. You get to use Gibson, Feller, Grove, and Ryan. And so basically, if you're kind of deep into the game and you find yourself in a situation where you could allow a big inning, just quit out of the game, move on to the next one, and just pick up with the strikeouts from where you left off. I find that's probably the best and the safest way to do it. Sure, you might try to get out of the jam. You might, you know, kind of push your luck a little bit. Maybe you get out of it, maybe you don't. But I find the safest way to do it is just to quit and move on to the next pitcher in the rotation and try to knock out some of the strikeouts with that one. This one sucks. It's tedious. It's annoying. To me, it was the worst one out of all of them, but you can do it. You can get it done. Next up, we have Honus' cycle. You basically have to tally 10 total bases with Wagner. Now, I'm not going to go into any gameplay on this one because it's basically exactly the same as Albert Pujols. One thing to know about this one, though, this one is played at Polo Grounds, and Honus Wagner doesn't have the best over-the-fence power, but this man can hit the gaps. So if you hit the gaps in Polo Grounds, you can pretty much score on any one of them with his speed. So similar to Pujols, if you don't get a home run in the first at-bat, whether it be over the fence or deep into the gap of Polo Grounds, if you don't get a home run in the first at-bat, then restart until you do, and then after that, just knock out the rest. This is on All-Star, so just kind of wait for a fastball over the middle, and, you know, maybe you get lucky in pulling it into the gap or whatever. So that's pretty much the only tip I have for that one. It's pretty much exactly the same as Pujols, just at Polo Grounds. And your guy has some speed this time. All right, next up, we have Crazy Comeback. Down 5 in the bottom of the 8th, mount a comeback with your Diamond Dynasty squad against Signature Series Kenley Jansen to win the game. Okay, Okay, for this one, it's going to be really hard because Kenley Jansen is an extremely tough pitcher to face. His pitch selection is ruthless. His per-nines are ridiculous. His velo and break. He's got everything you need. To me, he's the best individual reliever in the entire game. So it's automatically going to be tough being down 5 in the bottom of the 8th. But I would say do the same thing that you did for the 10-run comeback. Stack your team with lefties and switch hitters with righties on your bench, because if you start getting after Jansen, they're probably going to take him out, maybe go to a lefty, maybe go to another righty, you never know. But basically the idea is you know you're going to be facing a righty, so give yourself the advantage by putting in a bunch of lefties in your lineup who hit righties pretty well. And this one, I guess, is a little bit different from the other one in terms that you only have 2 innings to do this instead of coming in the 6th. If you don't score, I would say at least half of the runs that you need. If you don't get out of this inning and you go into the 9th, what am I trying to say? If you're going into the 9th and you don't have at least 5 runs, if it's not a 7-5 game, I would probably restart, just because you're putting more pressure on yourself in the bottom of the 9th to score more runs, and then you end up wasting more time because you have to end up pitching the top of the 9th and stuff. So those are probably my biggest tips. This one's going to be tough. Kenley Jansen is really tough to hit, so stack your lineup with lefties, get at least 3 of the 5 runs in the 8th inning, and then hopefully you can finish it off in the 9th. Remember, you are the home team, even though you're facing Kenley Jansen at Dodger Stadium. It gets a little bit confusing. So you will have the final at-bat. So even if you tie it and have to send it to extras, as long as you pitch okay, you're always going to have the last at-bat. So this one's going to be tough. It's going to be probably the hardest one for a lot of people, but you can do it. Stack your lineup with lefties and try to get at least 3 of the 5 runs in the 8th inning. Okay, next up we have the David versus Goliath. You basically have to win a 3-inning game with a bunch of common players against a pretty much all signature series squad. Sounds fun, right? Now, surprisingly for me, I'm not going to say this is going to be the case for everybody. This was actually one of the easier ones on the entire list. I really didn't struggle with this one at all. I got 7 runs in the first inning when I did this. You know, maybe that's kind of a lucky go, but just because this team is common doesn't mean that there isn't guys on here who can hit. Like, next up we have Chris Shaw, I believe. Chris Shaw's got 68 power versus righties. Then you got Chris Davis after him. You got Peter O'Brien. Like, some of these guys have pretty decent stats. And remember, you are playing at Polo Grounds, so if you get a hold of a ball and you hit it just down the line with a little bit of elevation, you could possibly sneak a run with a cheap home run. So yeah, I mean, this one, it's just going to kind of test your skills overall. You're going to have to be really precise with your PCI. You're going to maybe have to get lucky with a couple runs here and there, but this moment is definitely doable. I know a lot of people have already gotten this one done. It was supposed to be more of a really difficult moment, but I think a lot of people are actually finding this one not to be that hard at all. So you got Chris Davis, 79 power against righties. Just because somebody is a common doesn't mean they're automatically a trash card. But yeah, it is going to be a little bit tough, but right there, boom, even if it goes foul, you know that you can hit a home run with Chris Davis. Like, it's just, you can do it. So there's not really a ton of tips I can give you there, just you know, play the matchups. Maybe you go to your bench. I don't really know who you have on the bench. AJ Reed. You got some speed with 97 speed, Adam Engel. You got 95 speed with Miles Straw. You got a little bit of power with Dylan Cousins, 66 power. So you got guys that can play. You just have to kind of clutch up and, you know, maybe get lucky with a hit here and there. So the final one is going to be Signature Series Squad. You are using your own Diamond Dynasty team versus a Signature Series Legend Squad, and basically you have to win the 9-inning game and do these statistical missions to go along with it. So you have to get 4 extra base hits, 5 runs, you have to get 1 steal, and you have to strike out 8 batters, and you can't walk 2 batters. You can walk 1, but you can't walk 2. Now, I would go into the gameplay, but once again, there's not really a ton of tips I can give you as far as tangible gameplay. You kind of just have to knock out the extra base hits. You have to get the stolen base. You have to strike out the batters. One thing I would say is for the pitching side of it, don't be afraid to go to your bullpen. Most relievers are going to have higher Ks per nine than most starters. So I would give your starter maybe 3 innings or 2 innings, depending on when he comes up to the plate. Pinch hit for him and bring in some of your relievers. They're all going to be fully fresh with their energy and their stamina. So bring in the relievers that you have the most Ks per nine with, because that's going to give you the best chance to get the most strikeouts, because the strikeouts, 8 strikeouts in 9 innings can be kind of tough. I got my last strikeout in the 8th inning, and I was kind of getting nervous there going into the last few innings. So do that. The steal should be fairly easy. If you have somebody with good speed, put him at the top of your order. Hopefully you get on base, whether it be a hit or a walk, and just steal the base. You can do that at any point. You should be able to knock that one out. The 5 runs, very doable. You can definitely do 5 runs. For me, the hardest part was actually getting the 4 extra base hits. I had a lot of trouble getting 4 extra base hits because I faced Kershaw, then I faced I don't know if I faced Kenley. I know I faced Gagne. I know I faced Eckersley. I know I faced Wagner. There was just some tough pitchers you're going to have to face. So you're really going to need to just handle business, get those 4 extra base hits. Once again, you are playing in Polo Grounds. But there's just not a lot of tips I can give you. There's not really a way you can build your team either, like to kind of get a little bit more of an advantage. You're going to be playing a full 9-inning game, and they're going to bring in lefties and righties. So I do think you start off against Kershaw every time. So maybe if you want to put a bunch of righties in your lineup who hit lefties better, that might give you an advantage early. But I don't exactly know if Kershaw is the starter every time. That's what it was for me. So I don't know. Not a ton of tips I can give you for the last one. It is going to be on Hall of Fame. It's going to be kind of tough. But basically, in my opinion, build the best squad you can, and worry about those statistical missions, because if you say, oh, I just need 1 extra base hit, you start to get to the 6th, the 7th, the 8th inning, and you get a little bit more tense, and then you don't realize you haven't gotten it yet. So go hard for the stats at the beginning. Don't let your foot off the gas pedal, and hopefully by the end of the game, you have all of these missions done, and you'll be done. So hopefully those tips were helpful for you guys. I'm not saying these tips are going to help every single person. Not every single person is going to have the same luck or the same experience, but I find that these tips probably give people just more of an advantage when it comes to some of these moments, trying to put you guys in the best possible positions. So if these tips helped you out, drop a thumbs up on the video. I would appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for more MLB The Show tips, videos, all that stuff. Remember to head over to my Twitch channel and follow me there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace.